This is Dante Williams, and you're watching
Dontae's
Boxing Nation.
This is Showtime Sean Portman. Filipino Flash, Jesse Burns.
This is Al Bernstein. You're watching Dontae's Boxing Nation.
Hi, I'm Sugar Ray.
Chick Shame.
Search over last name one.
Dontae's Boxing Nation. Boom, 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 boom.
Yo, this is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder.
My name is Gennady Golovkin.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So as you guys have all heard by now, Anthony Joshua, he will be defending his title against the drummer boy, Eric Molina, December 10th. According to Deontay Wilder, who's been in the ring with Eric Molina, he said this is going to be a tough fight for Anthony Joshua. And it's pretty interesting that Deontay Wilder is saying that. Not only has he been in the ring with him, but the fact that I don't recall Deontay Wilder ever saying one of Anthony Joshua's opponents that he faced, previously was going to be one of his toughest fights. Of course, it has something to do with the fact that Wilder was in the ring with Molina, but I still think it's interesting that Deontay Wilder would say that. He knows how durable and how tough Eric Molina is. And I did a long exclusive interview with Eric Molina. You guys could check that video out. I'll put the link in the description box to see what Molina had to say about Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. He compared both of them, and he gave some real good insight on both fighters and who he thought was a better fighter, who he thought was a more complete fighter. But with that being said, like I said, Eric Molina, he will be facing Anthony Joshua December 10th. But I want to talk more about this Wladamir Klitschko situation, because I've told you guys since day one, from the first day Eddie Hearn mentioned Klitschko as an opponent for Anthony Joshua, I thought to myself, there's no way, I just can't see Wladamir Klitschko taking a fight with this young, strong lion, Anthony Joshua. Despite me saying that to myself, Eddie Hearn, he was very optimistic at the beginning when it comes to negotiating this fight with Anthony Joshua and Wladamir Klitschko. So he kept saying the announcement is coming very soon. So then I started to say, well, wow, I got to give Wladamir Klitschko more credit than I was giving him before. Because like I said, I didn't think that he would fight a young, strong lion like Anthony Joshua. Then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, we hear Wladamir Klitschko pulling out of the fight. We hear reports of him pulling out of the fight. We hear, and it wasn't a money thing because he was going to make some ridiculous money. All of a sudden, we find out that according to reports, Wladamir Klitschko, he didn't want to fight Joshua anymore because he wanted the WBA belt to be at stake, as well as the IBF title, which is the belt that, of course, Anthony Joshua holds. That was the reason why he was going to pull out. I told you guys before, that didn't make any sense. Obviously, Wladamir Klitschko, who was the former undisputed unified heavyweight champion, obviously he wants all his belts back. I understand that. But what didn't make sense is you have an opportunity to fight for one of the titles, and you're basically saying, if I can't fight for both titles, then I don't want to fight against Anthony Joshua, right? But that made no sense, because if you were to not fight Joshua and fight Lucas Brown, which was an opponent that Wladamir Klitschko was looking at, if you would have fought him, you still would have ended up fighting for one belt. So it really doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is Wladamir Klitschko saying to himself, now it would be much easier for me to dethrone, or not dethrone, but beat a Lucas Brown as opposed to beating a young, strong, hungry lion like Anthony Joshua. Maybe I'll win a belt and then think about that fight in the future. Now that makes more sense. So this WBA excuse that Wladamir Klitschko used why he didn't want to fight Anthony Joshua anymore if the WBA belt wasn't at stake, now he has no excuses at all, because it was just recently reported that now the WBA belt is on board for a Anthony Joshua versus Wladamir Klitschko fight. Now this is interesting because while Wladamir Klitschko used that as an excuse to pull out of negotiations, I told you guys that I truly believe when Wladamir Klitschko did this, he was looking for a way out of the fight. And he knew deep down that there was a chance, while Eddie Hearn was desperately trying to get the WBA president to put the belt on the line, this is when Wladamir Klitschko conveniently gets injured to where he can no longer fight Anthony Joshua, regardless if he gets exactly what he was asking for, right? Then I'm not saying that he faked an injury, but let's just say it is very convenient and it is perfect timing for him to all of a sudden get injured, right? I mean, Wladamir Klitschko, he is getting exactly what he requested. He's getting exactly what he asked for. He wanted the WBA belt to be included in this clash against Anthony Joshua, and now he has it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, assuming Anthony Joshua gets past Eric Molina. It'll be interesting to see what Wladamir Klitschko says about facing Anthony Joshua then, right? I mean, that fight right there is definitely Anthony Joshua's coming out party. Anthony Joshua is already huge in the UK. But if he beats and dominates Wladamir Klitschko, he becomes a universal name. He becomes big all across the globe, especially, for him being a heavyweight knockout artist. We haven't had, too many heavyweight knockout artists that was just dominating the division. We haven't had, we haven't had one of those fighters since probably Mike Tyson. So, it'll be interesting. Hopefully that fight gets made. Once again, like I told you guys before, that fight for Anthony Joshua is graduation day. We've seen him tested against taller fighters. We've seen him tested against undefeated fighters, many undefeated fighters. But a fight against Wladamir Klitschko is the ultimate test. So let's see. Hopefully it happens. And, I still look forward to watching the Klitschko versus Molina fight, even though that is an extreme uphill battle for Eric Molina. But Eric Molina, he's one of them fighters that just wants to go in there and fight, win, lose, or draw. And I think Eric Molina, he's going to go in there and he's going to put on a good performance regardless what happens. So let's see what happens December 10th. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.